Welcome back to the Running Wine Mom podcast. I'm your host, Samantha Cieslinski, aka the Running Wine Mom. I am so excited to be here with you as we wrap this year up and look ahead to the possibilities of 2025. It's been such a journey, hasn't it? From highs and triumphs to setbacks and challenges, each of us has a story to reflect on as we prepare to start fresh. Now, let's be honest. How many of you have set New Year's resolutions in the past only to let them fizzle out by mid-February? Don't worry, you're not alone. Nearly 80% of New Year's resolutions fail by the second month of the year. The problem isn't that we lack motivation or discipline. The issue lies in how we approach the change. Today, I want to introduce you to something different, something that research shows is far more effective and fulfilling: setting intentions. Intentions are not about rigid rules or checking boxes. They're about aligning your actions with your core values to create meaningful and lasting transformation. But here's what makes today's episode really special. We're going to dive deep into the science of well-being and share insights from leading experts, including Dr. Laurie Santos, who teaches the wildly popular Science of Well-being course at Yale. Her work, along with insights from neuroscience and positive psychology, will help us understand why intentions are so powerful and how they can change the way you live in 2025. And I took Dr. Santos's class back in 2018 or 19 online through Coursera. You can actually take her class for free. This is not an ad. I just felt as though it was such a great class to take and really gave a different outlook on how to create your own happiness and stop comparing yourself to others. So I wanted to take some of her work and implement it into this podcast episode. By the end of the episode, you'll have the tools to set intentions and integrate them seamlessly into your daily life. This isn't about lofty ideas. It's about practical, science-backed strategies that actually work. So grab a glass, take a deep breath, and let's embark on this journey together. So part one, we're going to talk about the science of intention setting. Let's start with why intentions work, not just in theory, but in practice, backed by science. When you set an intention, you're activating the prefrontal cortex. That's the part of your brain which is responsible for higher order thinking, like planning, decision-making, and self-regulation. So you're going to think of your prefrontal cortex as the CEO of your brain. Intentions are going to give it a clear directive, which helps you filter out distractions and stay focused on what truly matters. But there's more. According to Dr. Santos, one of the key insights from the Science of Well-being course is that happiness isn't about achieving specific outcomes. It's about living in alignment with what brings you meaning and joy. And something to remember is what brings you meaning and joy doesn't necessarily bring someone else meaning and joy. So it's very important that this is very individualized. Intentions, though, they're going to tap into this principle by helping you focus on the journey rather than obsessing over the destination. So for example, let's say that your resolution is, I'm going to lose 20 pounds, which a lot of people do. I'm staying away from that one this year, but that is outcome based and rigid. What happens if you don't see results fast enough, which is a lot of times what happens? So you're likely going to feel discouraged and give up. But if your intention is, I nourish my body with movement and foods that energize me, you've really created an open-ended framework that's going to allow progress in multiple forms. And you aren't going to be obsessing over a number on the scale. And a lot of us know that we can weigh, well, personally for me, I can weigh the same amount and I can look totally different at those weights. But if I am nourishing myself and exercising, to a healthy level, then I'm going to feel better about myself. And that number is really not going to matter. So here's where positive psychology comes in. Research shows that progress, not perfection, is actually the key to sustained motivation and happiness. Every small step that you take towards your intention, it's going to build momentum and it's going to reinforce these positive habits, which that's the goal. You don't want to just lose 20 pounds because then what? You want to build a positive habit, which is nourishment and exercise. And that's going to lead to you being happier, because some people can lose the weight and they've done it miserably because they're not eating and they're hyper focused on working out and they're not happy at that weight. So they think, oh, I need to maybe lose 5 more pounds. But the reality is, if you were just nourishing yourself and exercising then it would be more about a habit than a number. But next, let's talk about emotional regulations. Intentions help you stay grounded when life throws challenges your way. For example, an intention like I approach conflict with patience and empathy gives you a mental anchor to really hold on to during tough conversations. This isn't just theoretical. Studies show that people who practice intention setting experience lower stress levels and greater emotional resilience, which is what, again, we are all aiming towards. So let me share a personal story. This past year, I set an intention to create space for meaningful connection. It wasn't always easy. If you know me, you know my life is busy, and there were definitely days where I felt stretched too thin, which was really hard for me. Sometimes for me, being busy is a good thing. These were all positive things, but I definitely felt overwhelmed at times because I had the intention guiding me of keeping space for meaningful intentions. I made small but impactful choices, like setting aside my phone during family dinners or reaching out to a friend that I hadn't spoken to in a while. And these moments, though small, they added up to a year filled with deeper and more authentic relationships. And that's the power of intentions. They transform your actions by aligning them with your values. So now let's go to the next part. We're going to talk about setting transformative intentions. Now that we understand why intentions are so impactful, let's dive into the process of creating them. This is where reflection, clarity, and action really come together to shape your year. So step one is going to be reflect on 2024 with radical honesty. Honesty is important because before you set your intentions, you want to take time to reflect on the past year. I call this emotional inventory. So think about the experiences that shaped your 2024. Here are some questions that maybe you could guide yourself to. So grab a pen and paper or your notes in your phone and write these down. The first one is what brought you the most joy this year? Was it a specific moment? Was it a relationship? Or was it a new habit maybe that you cultivated? So what brought you the most joy this year? The next question is going to be what challenges stretched you? What lessons did those moments teach you? And where did you feel stuck, drained, or out of alignment? Be radically honest here. Sometimes the hardest truths to acknowledge are really the most going to give you the most change. So write these reflections down and they're going to serve as a foundation for your intentions. So now we're going to go to step two. Anchor your intentions to your core values. Your values are your compass. They're going to be what guides you when life feels overwhelming. But here's the thing. Most of us have never really taken the time to clearly define what our values are. So let's kind of start that. Also, to kind of give a little advertisement, I guess, for myself, I do have a guidebook that you can do. It's a 12-week guidebook, and it has a lot of these questions in it. So when I was making this podcast, I used a lot of the activities from my guidebook, and I will link all of that for you. My book is called Happiness Journey, a 12-week coaching guide, and it can be used for yourself or if you are a life coach or any kind of wellness coach, but it kind of goes through these. And one of the sections is about setting values and finding out what your core values are. So here are the questions that you're going to ask yourself. What you're going to do to start is you're going to ask yourself, what matters most to me in this season of life? I know for me personally, I am in a very different season of life than I was 5, 6, 7 years ago. So what matters most to me right now? When I imagine my best self, what values am I embodying? So for example, if you value health, your intention might be, I cultivate vitality through movement and rest. So for example, if you value health, your intention might be, I cultivate vitality through movement and rest. If creativity is important, then maybe an intention could be, I make space for daily moments of creative flow. Here's a little pro tip. Use tools like journaling prompts, value cards, or even a guided meditation to really clarify these values. The one thing that I did in the beginning of this year was really clarifying what my intentions were. So a lot of people, if you're into manifestation or setting goals or any of those, you'll say like, I want to be happy, or I want $1 million, or I want, to be a certain weight or whatever it may be. But how are you going to get there? Like, what does it exactly look like for you? So for me, with my hopes with this podcast and with my content creation, like I didn't really know what I wanted my daily life to be. And so I really wrote those down to clarify what my values of what I wanted my business to be. And that really helped to put the roadmap out there. So that's something very important to do. Now let's move on to step 3, craft intentions that inspire action. So intentions should feel empowering and actionable. Let's reframe some common goals into powerful intentions. So instead of someone saying, I'll spend less time on social media, try, I nurture meaningful connections in the real world. Instead of, I need to stop procrastinating, say, I approach tasks with focus and a sense of curiosity. The key is to phrase your intentions in the present tense and tie them to your values. Step 4 is that you're going to build an intentional ecosystem. This is where many people get stuck. Intentions need support systems to thrive. So, for example, create a daily routine. Start your morning by reviewing your intentions. This could really be as simple as reciting them or writing them down in a journal. So something that I did was a little vision board on my phone, because you're always looking at your phone. And every morning I'd wake up, the first thing you do, you look at your phone. So if you don't feel like you have time for reflecting in the morning, just put your intentions on your phone on that lock screen and you'll see it first thing. You also, set reminders, use sticky notes, phone notifications, or visual cues to really keep your intentions at the top of your mind. So if you want to set an alarm every day to just say, like, every day at noon, set an alarm and you can think in your head about your intentions and your goals, that's going to keep you more accountable, which is the next thing, is to find accountability. Share your intentions with someone you trust or join a community that aligns with your goals. And we are going to talk next about living your intentions daily, but something really important that I did this year was really only aligning myself with things that aligned with my goals. I always wanted to have my hand in everything, and I still do have it in a lot, but I've really cut back because I found that you really can't do it all and you need to figure out what you want to do that is most important to you. So next we're going to go into part 3, which is living your intentions daily. Setting intentions is great, but it's only half the battle. The real magic is going to happen when you integrate them into your daily life. Daily integration practices, what does that look like? So start your day with intention setting. Again, this could be morning meditation, a gratitude practice, or just taking 60 seconds to remind yourself of your focus for the day. So for example, today I choose kindness and curiosity. Throughout the day, use mindfulness to check in with yourself. Ask yourself, are my actions aligned with my intentions? And a lot of people get a little bit freaked out or overwhelmed with what they think that mindfulness or meditation is. But again, it doesn't have to be you sitting in a dark room for 40 minutes with no sound. It can just simply be turning your radio off in the car and thinking about what your intentions are. They can be 60 seconds. It can be 20 seconds. It's just reminding yourself. Next, we want to talk about the power of flexibility. So intentions are not rigid rules. They're really more of a dynamic guide for you. And when life throws you a curveball, you're going to want to adapt your actions without abandoning your values. So for example, if your intention is that you're going to prioritize self-care, but you're too busy for a spa day, again, self-care might look like a 10-minute walk or saying no to an extra commitment. So kind of go back to that. If your goal, your New Year's resolution was that you're going to go to the spa once a month because that's going to give you self-care, but then one month you're super busy, then that kind of just goes into a snowball effect that you are not doing self-care. But if your intention for the year is I prioritize self-care, then you can fit it in at some point in your month to, if you can't get to the spa. Next, we're going to talk about overcoming setbacks. So they're inevitable, but they don't define your journey. When you stumble, ask, what can I learn from this moment? Remember, progress is more important than perfection. A great way to bounce back is to really revisit your intentions weekly, whether that's Sundays or Mondays, whatever day. It doesn't have to be Sundays at 6 p.m. It can be whenever it fits into your schedule, but you want to reflect on what's working and what needs adjustment. This practice is going to keep your intentions fresh and relevant. And you, every 3 months, you also want to reevaluate these things as well. So that was a lot of information, but I think the main point of this is that I want you to, this year, instead of setting goals, set those intentions. And as we close, I want you to remember this. Intentions are powerful because they align your actions with your values. They are not about being perfect. They're about being purposeful. So here is my challenge to you. take 10 minutes this week. Well, when this releases, it's going to be New Year's, but it's okay if you don't start on January 1st. But take 10 minutes to reflect on your 2024 and set your intentions for 2025. Write them down, share them with someone you trust, and revisit them daily, which is very important. I also want to leave you with one small action that you can take today. Ask yourself, what is one thing I can do right now to live in alignment with my values? It could be as simple as calling a friend, drinking a glass of water, or taking a deep breath. So thank you so much for an incredible year on the Running Wine Mom. It has been wonderful being able to speak to so many wonderful people in this world, humans that are making big differences in the community and in the world. And I am excited for 2025 to see where this path takes me. So until next time, keep running, keep sipping, and keep embracing the joy of motherhood. Cheers. And I will be back in 2025.